So this hero it has a more interesting story than I guess most any other hero because it's a collaboration first of all, and it's a different kind of collaboration. It's not just two people in the forum who've had experience making heroes and just make a hero. It's
Mm-hmm.
there's a concept artist, and he drew a picture basically. He's very very talented. He's not really prolific on the forums, and he's really busy in real life. And he works at like an animation studio or something. He's trying to get where he's a student really.
Mm-hmm.
But bottom line is he's really cool concept art, and he was trying to get in touch with somebody about like ideas to make abilities and stuff. And then I approached him with a very thorough proposition. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I said that if you I'll work with you, and we'll create this hero from the bottom up using my thorough hero creation process and your feedback and iteration, and we'll make a viable, um, generally appealing hero. And that's what we did, as opposed to him picking up a few ideas and stitching them together by himself and whatever. So I basically took the mantle in manifesting his hero from a visual concept to
Mm-hmm.
a complete concept by writing the story, doing the statistics, and all the abilities, and we went back and forth a lot so we can identify really what he wanted, and it was a lot of iteration, but it was very fun as well. Do you see the picture?
Oh yes.
Yeah,
It
so
looks
that
the concept art is very good.
yeah, I don't remember exactly what the picture looks, but I think I have all the picture posted on there. So that it's like one guy with the spear
Yeah.
and the helmet. He's like, yeah, that is very good. It's something I wish I could draw myself. And
Same here.
part of part of that message, part of that proposition I gave him, it's like I'll make this hero for you and whatever. At the conclusion of this, will you consider making concept art for one of my heroes? And of course we got to that end as well. But as I kept making his hero, um, I'm a very exclusive person. So when I make something, it's hidden for a while until it's like 90% ready, and then I start adding the public in, and then reiterating that feedback, and then I go full on, which hasn't actually happened very often
Mm-hmm.
because of my that turnaround time for that type of iteration process. But it was very fun, and you can see the hero on the page. I didn't like it at first, but it really really grew on me, so such that I consider it one of my own now. It has a very tight theme, but it's still all viable and it's easy to grasp. It has a lot of new mechanics involved, but not a lot of new mechanics. I mean, like a new twist, a new gameplay style. So if this hero ever made into Dota, it would be very welcome. It would be very balanced, and it would seem as if Ice Frog himself made it, in my opinion.
Awesome. So
So
let's start with an overview. Could you please explain the stats and his abilities real quick?
yes, if you go to my PDF page, it's a
Mhm.
lot neater and easier to read than the Play Dota one.
Yep, I'm
And
there.
it's everything's set up very nicely. On the first page, you see the picture, you see his name. His name was actually Czar at first with a T, like the Russian czars, and that was something. The concept art I was working with. We'll call him Bob. Bob, the concept artist, was working on, and it looks really good. So there,
Mhm.
and what's it called? That name, the name. I don't think it was appropriate for that. So over time, I changed it to EXANIMUS. So it has the word animus in it,
Yeah,
and it means like that you could see like the animation. Like he this here is literally animated armor. Like if he wasn't Dota 1, he'd probably look like the steel golem or something.
I see.
Uh, yeah, and the X is like exoskeleton or exo or armor or something like that. So I merge those two together and you get Exanimus, and it gives a clean name that embodies the hero. When you hear Czar, I mean Russian players be like, what is this like? Like
Yeah,
some
it
like
means king.
one
It's
off
like,
old,
yeah.
yeah, I mean like old ruler or something like that. Yeah, it'd be weird because it has a kind of connotation. It's like, yeah, so I gave him a more unique name that
Yeah.
inspires its own character rather than invoke something else's. So on the front page here, you see I do all my heroes this way too. So if anyone wants to take note of that, the affiliation is Dire, just because he said it was going to be Dire. I'm not sure how important that is. His role, the primary in secondary role, he has carry and initiation. I think by Dota 2 standards, that he'd probably just be listed as uh, carry, um,
Okay.
maybe escape. Oh, and disabler. He does have a disabler, so at least carry and disabler. Initiation is kind of like iffy because he doesn't like initiate as well as like an initiator you expect it would, but he could. Um,
Okay.
base damage I haven't set there yet, but it's just like a number thing. Attack range is melee. Base attack time is the same as someone like Juggernaut. I think. I'm not sure
Mm,
about that, but something's
okay.
average sight range.
Yeah.
And then I attempted to put some animation, attack animation, casting animation, backswing. Basically, it just mirrors him. Heroes that are in a similar role to him have a similar play style. I don't remember what heroes exactly, but whatever they are, they should be relatively appropriate.
Okay.
So he's an agility hero, being animated armor. So the more agility you have, the more armor you have, and that scales with some of his abilities. So it's only natural to make him an agility hero.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Moving
Yeah.
on from there.
Well, I guess
Any feedback
so.
so far?
Pardon?
Yo, what are you gonna say?
Uh, what was your question? So I didn't quite get you.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, like, did you have any feedback so far?
Oh, well, I still haven't checked out the abilities, so.
I mean, like, yeah, like so far on the what we talked about.
Well, as a carry hero, he has very good starting agility and good agility gain, so he will have very good attack speed. His base attack time is 1.7, which, well, is a bit higher than the normal carry. Usually they have 1.6, if I remember correctly. Also, his night sight range is a bit low. A lot of heroes have 1200 or some even have 1500, which means that if he likes jungles during the night, it will be a bit more dangerous for him because he will have like lower sight range, and if your allies haven't properly warded, he will be quite easy to gank. His movement speed is quite good, however, so yeah, it all depends on his abilities. Next.
Oh, I see. Yes. Um, I guess those statistics for the most part have received the least iteration just because it's less of a concept thing and more of like a final process thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm sure like Ice Frog himself doesn't like really look too far into the sight range in the very initial concept. It's like I'm
Yes,
not
yes,
gonna
I
make an
completely
800
agree
sight
there.
range hero. It's just but
Yeah.
but yes, I completely understand. I can see that now, and that's pretty good analysis. So if I revisit the hero, that's probably something I would adjust to fit a more norm. I think his attack time I put slow because I don't want him to emphasize his auto attack so much, but I don't remember. So moving on.
Mhm.
So I have a hero introduction here. I have one line for that. EXANIMUS is an agility hero who emphasizes skillful mobility and excels at burst damage that scales well into the late game.
Mhm.
I should mention that he gains like a lot of armor as well, but I didn't.
Okay.
There's a story. There's a story here that I wrote and I reiterated on, and it's halfway decent. I have plans to um, improve it.
Okay.
To but it's there. I'm not sure if I should read that or not. Probably not.
If you want to.
I can summarize it. I can summarize it. He's animated armor. He acquires the skill and intellect of everybody who's ever worn him, and he used to belong to a dynasty called the EXANIMUS dynasty. That's where
Okay.
he gets his namesake from. He was the EXANIMUS armor. He was what their like fathers and sons wore into battle and conquered whatever and maintained their dynasty.
That's actually very
But
cool.
over time, yeah, I think so too. And over time, this is the kicker. This is the coolest part. Over time, the armor itself, okay, the armor itself is said to be invulnerable, but the people wearing the armor were not. So they're subject to any manner of like gases and burns and other form of like evasive attacks that are not exactly like sword, spear, or arrow.
Yeah.
And the armor itself was like its only weakness was the wearer itself, and eventually it came to the sentient knowledge that it wasn't being fulfilled because it was being used by things that were mortal in the end. Like no matter how good the armor is, its wearer will die either with old age or something else.
Mm-hmm.
So it animated itself, and it's like, hey, I'm done with this. You guys are weak, so I'm just gonna pursue the perfection of warfare, defense in general, and screw you guys because you're squishy. So that's basically what just happened. There's a line here, and it's like, apparently it's what I wrote here. It was the first set of armor crafted upon the advent of war, and since then has been magically reinforced the metal of the thousands of fallen in history's fallen battles, and forever reforged into a weightless but incredibly dense, invincible regalia. So, yeah, he when he kills somebody, he absorbs their metal, the metal of the people and of the guy he killed, and it becomes really dense, but it's incredibly light. So it's quite magical.
Okay.
So I think that pretty much summarizes it up. There's a short aside that tells about like the one particular situation, but yeah, that's him. He's an animated armor who tries to achieve perfection, and he's basically that robot. Like all the sci-fi movies and stuff.
Yeah.
You have the humans create this awesome robot, and it like does our taxes and feeds us and stuff, and all of a sudden one day it's like, you guys suck because you're just inefficient, and I'm just gonna kill you all and be awesome. So that's basically what's happening here.
Yeah. That was Terminator.
Yeah, Terminator, iRobot, etc., etc. Yeah, it's basically same thing ish. Okay, so moving on from that, we can get a little more less aesthetic now and more mechanical. So
Okay.
I have an abilities overview page, and by the way, this Bob, the concept artist, he created all these icons. Like these icons look amazing. First of all, they look like icons you see in the game.
Yes, I completely agree.
Correct? Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but they look freaking awesome. When he first made them, I was just like, "Who are you? You actually work for Valve or something? Like, what is this? Is it a joke?" Okay, but it was really awesome. So he has four abilities. So he's a standard hero, and this hero is not going to be like your invoker or something like that. He just follows the basic four ability uh, protocol and has this
Mm-hmm.
attribute stats. His first ability is called Chain Reaction, and we wanted to give him some presence, a disable, but we didn't want to do it like a simple like one-time effect, like a nuke stun or like AOE slow, because those are very tired and used effects.
Yes.
But we liked the idea of him. He has to be up. He's a melee hero, first of all, and the way he's played, he's front line. Um, and I've hinted that he gains armor, and that's one of his primary attributes. So he has
Yes.
that form, but as far as really like keeping everybody around him and able to do his damage, he didn't have anything to hold him there. So we gave him something called Chain Reaction, and you could describe Chain Reaction as basically an AOE maledict that's centered around the hero itself. When you activate it, it charges up for a time, and then when you press the ability button again, it releases pulses that stun and deal damage for depending on how long you charge for.
Okay.
So and it's in we could have done it where you pressed it and then X amount of time later, like Alchemist or something, or it's basically like Alchemist, I guess. But like we could have made it so where you couldn't activate it again; it just went off. But we felt like it's something you can prepare for, and especially works well with his abilities because you can activate it in lieu of something. You didn't have to like go in and then do it, and then everybody kind of knows what you're doing, but you can like prep beforehand, and then
Yes.
you can like retain a charge, like Samus in Super Smash Bros. Or something. So that's his first ability, and apparently has a note here that it increases your movement speed. So I guess it does that now too. So yeah, damage scales and all that. The second ability is called Reforge. It's passive,
Hmm?
and it's a toggle. Actually, it's not passive at all. It's actually a toggle skill that grants passive bonuses, and you can trade a portion of a percentage of your armor, and you gain attack damage and attack range based on how much armor you traded.
Hmm.
And then so it basically is two stances: defense stance and offense stance. So in offense stance, he gains attack range and damage. We wanted the idea. This draws from his thematic concept, but it opened a way. It opened a very viable mechanic too. So usually the weakness of melee heroes is that they're melee. They have to be up front. They can be kited,
Yes.
and they have horrible laning. Like they have to have a range lane